Good morning from the beautiful Gold Coast once again. Just want to have a little yarn today about that feeling of fear. Yeah, how do we overcome our fears in this life? I know it's a very open question, how to overcome fear. I don't think you can ever overcome fear 100%. It's very hard to also define fear because it is so different for each individual. Everybody's got a different take on fear. You know, there could be, well, there is many, to name a few. Maybe fear of getting hurt, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of getting in an elevator, an escalator, fear of what other people think of us. The list goes on and on and on. What we are scared of in our lives. But you can be rest assured that we're all fearful of something. And there's two options I discovered with feeling fear in a life. And you either confront the fear or the fear will override you and take full control of your life. It will restrict you. So you've got an option to let fear restrict or manage fear or overcome fear by confronting it. They're the only two options I realised with fear in my life. I didn't think I was fearful of much because I was in complete survival mode, anger mode, not caring mode at all once upon a time back in my heyday. I've been a heroin addict and bucking against the criminal system and absolutely rebelling. And yeah, I was probably seen as somewhat fearless. But looking back on that madness that I lived, a lot of it was I was acting out of fear. Fear of getting arrested, fear of getting hurt, fear of what people thought of me, fear of pretty much myself. I was fearful of everything. And it wasn't until I was shown in rehab that potentially I could be, feared about many things in my life, in my behaviours and attitudes in my personal life. And I realised I was fear of getting close to people. I was fearful of sharing my feelings and my thoughts. I was fearful of showing the world that I had fears, and that's a fear. So I realised for me that fear can be a very small thing in other people's lives and their opinions of other people's fears. But your personal fears and my fears, they were major. They were really major, and they had an impact on me, irrespectively of what other people thought about those fears. So the way I discovered to get out of my fearful existence was to confront those fears by going down roads I had never gone down before, putting myself into situations where I felt my heart in my throat, having so-called courage to confront one's fear, putting myself out of my comfort zone is what I'm continuously doing. And the fear that I have by doing that is fear of being acknowledged, fear of success, fear of doing something different, fear of uncertainty, fear of not knowing where things are going to go. And I think it's in there that we can get better with fear, because when you put yourself in the situations where you're dealing with the fear of uncertainty pretty much all the time, and not letting your fear restrict you by overcoming it, by doing like actions against what you're fearful are, like even talking on a camera. It can be fearful for people to get up there and express themselves or do what they want to do through a camera. And it's only a little thing, but it's real. Or it could be fear of worrying what other people think of you, or it can be many kinds of fears. But to actually take your fears on, that creates a way out of that, and to understand fear better, and to know what to do with it when you feel it, to take it on, to stand up to it. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be fears beyond what we fear back here. Like, fears have been a progression in my life. The things I feared years ago, I don't fear now. So you can overcome your fears, but they keep coming up the more you want a different life, or the more you want to improve, or the more goals you seek in a life, or the more, the more you want, the more you fear, because you've got to actually do something about it, other than not doing anything about it and living behind fear. And that's okay too. But as I said, I think it's important that you understand what fear is and how it can limit you. Because if you don't understand what it is, you might live behind it and not realizing that you're living behind it. And that's the, if anything from this, the takeaway, just the awareness of it. That's powerful. Just to have the awareness of fear and to know what you're scared of. Now, doing something about it is going to take courage, or maybe you might need some help with some medication, maybe, you know, you might need help about talking about it. That's what I've done. I've been on medication and I've spoken about fear continuously, and it's helped. The more I've spoken about my fears, the more I've been able to manage my fear better and keep walking through it. And it's okay to seek help. It's okay if you need support along the way, like we all need support. As I said, medication or talking about it. But I think the worst, well, for me, the worst thing that I can do is not stand up to it and get scared of it where I don't act. And for me, that's dangerous, because we all want some good life, and why it's dangerous is that when you're not aware of what we're hiding behind or what we're scared to confront, we might stay comfortable and not confront that fear. And that's dangerous, I think, unless you're content with your life and where you're at, and you're at peace with that, and that's a good thing too. So talk about your fears. That's powerful, talking about your fears. Don't disregard communication about your fears. There's so much power in the word, and there's so much power in expressing that fear and talking about what's behind it, and looking at it and ripping it apart and seeing where it come from, and try to connect the dots in your past fears. Because the more you understand your own fears, the less you will be fearful. That's a given. The less you will be fearful. So confront it, talk about it, get help if you have to, you know, to move through it. As I said, even medication, or I'm not I'm not advocating, you know, that's for everybody, but some people are that driven that they can't help not, you know, being motivated to seek something better in their lives, and they won't stop. And for those people, don't disregard some help on the way through, if that's, you know, medication or something like that. Or maybe, you know, relaxation exercises, you know, yoga's good, meditation's good with fear. Think about your fear when you're doing that stuff, and visualise it going out of your system. There's lots of stuff on the internet that you can go and check in with to visualise fear releasing from your system. I used to do this in jail. I used to blow my fears into a paper bag, and then I'd tie the paper bag up and throw it in the bin. You know, whatever works, man. Whatever works, you know. That's important to remember, whatever works, because it's going to help you, whatever works. And that is so important, because you're important. You're really important. So have a great day, and as I always say, God bless us all. And you take care now. And keep looking at those fears.